We think we're live again. Twitch hiccuped on us a second time. Hopefully somebody in chat can tell me we're back.
I'm watching the stream as well, so I'll notice when we come back.
See that we're back. All right. Meanwhile, we're going to keep playing. We are recording this, so if it's not going out live, we will show a replay afterwards. This is not Kai and Tom.
Soon enough.
There we go.
This time you smartly put me in here before I lose, so I'm not going to be bitter.
Awesome. You guys haven't missed anything. We're back live. Game 2, turn 1. Rich has a Thoughtseize.
And this is going to get misstepped almost certainly. And here we can see, Steve has kind of...
Flusterstorm, right? Misstep seems like the right play.
Yeah, I would definitely misstep here. And Steve has like a classic Steve hand. Like he loves these hyper-reactive hands.
Mm-hmm.
Which is partly why I'm actually so surprised he plays such like the decks he plays. I think his style would be better suited to maybe cutting some of the creatures and playing more like the dig through time Pyromancer list that like Raptor and Luis played last season.
Mm-hmm.
That seems much more in tune with kind of the way Steve plays the matchups. But here he's thinking about, does he want to just let this thing resolve? Can't imagine he does. And 2 life doesn't really matter against this
right.
This deck at all, because it's all about multiples of 7, so...
Gotta give it a good think, though. You have anything you can tell us about your thoughts going into your match with Kai in round 4?
I think I really need to win, is what I think.
It's a big match. I mean, it is perhaps the most impactful match on the schedule this week.
Yeah, I mean, I need Rich to win here.
Sure.
And then, if I win, we have me, Rich, and Kai all at 2 and 4, and then Dave at 1 and 5. So there's a little bit of air cover on that last place.
Sure.
So we'll see, but it's Kai. It's never easy against Kai.
Wow, do we have a 2-game gap between the haves and have-nots if Rich wins this? Is there nobody? Is there going to be nobody at 3 and 4?
Were you were the only 3-3, right? And Rich was the only 3-3. You're 4-2.
3-3.
Right. And Bob already lost. So Bob is 2-4. Kai will be, if I beat Kai and Rich wins here, then it's Kai, Bob, me, and Steve all at 2-5, and Dave at 1-6. And then if I lose, it's 3 people at 2-5 and both of us at 1-6.
Wow.
So
crazy. All right, mental misstep is the decision.
Why would he pay mana there? I don't like paying mana there. Even if he's just trying to like hide the fact that he has another counterspell in his hand, because it's so unlikely that Rich like fights over this. Like, why get? I don't like that, but it's a minor thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was what he was in the tank about. Was okay. What are the odds that he's going to go like Sapphire Ancestral, and I'm going to really wish I could Flusterstorm this turn.
What if he just missteps back though? I mean, you don't want to let it misstep your misstep and then take your Flusterstorm and see your whole hand. Like if he knows your hand is just forcible and a preordain, he gets to play very differently. So I think the 2 life there is pretty meaningless.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, maybe if you're Rich, you think, oh, he doesn't have a Flusterstorm because he would have left up mana, but then he would have tanked forever, right? He would have thought for 3 minutes and then cast his spell.
Something's going.
Just cast it.
Having some issues with Steve's hand cam. Try to get those sorted out. Meanwhile, I'll keep playing. So your thoughts are you really need to win. You get no sorts of predictions on what you think Kai is going to be bringing to the table?
I think Kai's range is pretty wide. I think there's a chance he is on... I think his most likely deck is some kind of combo deck. But I know that like he doesn't really have time to test. So I don't know if you play that kind of dark. It's possible, though, he could be on a combo deck. He could be on Shops. Wouldn't shock me.
Yep.
Don't think he's on Dredge. Don't think he's back on Delver.
Oath?
Could be back on Oath, certainly. Although I think there's some just desire to switch it up.
Yeah. All right. Rich Preordain runs into mental misstep. Yeah, I also have to play Kai this set, so thinking about it as well. There's Steve's hand. Hopefully we can hold on to it for the rest of the match. I
Yeah,
definitely have shops as a big part of his range.
Yeah, same. Well, both Kai and I are playing you, so as long as you do the same thing to both of us. If you beat me, just beat him too, please.
I can live with that. Yeah, mostly I figured I wasn't going to run into Dredge. I did not have you
You're
or
playing
Dave.
me.
I did not have you or Dave going back to the Dredge after the pair of O3s you guys put up, and I did
Oh,
not.
I
I
mean,
don't see Kai going to Dredge either.
I don't think my results have nothing to do with it. I just don't like playing the same deck twice in the same season.
That's part
So
of it too. That's absolutely part of it. Yeah, I
I
think you'll
actually
get
think the Dredge is excellent, and it's the only reason why I didn't go back to it is because I've already played it this season. But
there.
I'll even announce I'm not playing Dredge. Kai can I actually told Kai that already.
Got it.
So
Yeah, the Merfolk Dredge matchup is terrible for Merfolk. Merfolk has very little chance there, so
yeah.
I would not have gone back to Merfolk if I thought you guys might be on Dredge.
Yeah, I think two of the matches that I lost to the deck I was huge favorites in. I think the deck's still very good, but it's one of the least. It's finding in small doses, but I don't think you want to have people have to watch a ton of it. So I like
Agreed and agreed.
mixing it up.
All
Weird.
right,
So
Steve resolved the
Steve,
gush.
so Steve just let blue mana go from his mana pool and didn't cast Preordain. I
Gotta hold more counters.
I will never understand the lines the lines that Steve takes. They're just so odd.
Now does Rich just run this oath out? Or is he gonna try to build up a hand to protect
I
it?
think he has to build up. He wants a blue card for misdirection. Make him have two counters. Time to draw like a disenchant. There's no reason to play it there. People in chat are pointing out that if his first Preordain scryed to the top, then possibly he didn't want to just like squander the scry effect. That's potentially true. So if he put that mentor on top and he knew it was there, you might want to save the Preordain for after he resolves the mentor. That would make sense.
Good point. Yeah, the mentor definitely makes you do strange things. I mean, I tried testing mentor a little bit, and you're definitely holding your moxes rather than playing them. You're tempted to hold on to your cantrips, sort of. It's an odd card.
I don't think it's especially good. That's the conclusion that both I know Luis and I kind of came to from talking with the decks, but yeah, I think we just not found the right shell for it yet.
That's Ifra's take, is that the card is very powerful, but the lists that we all, the best lists that we could find were not particularly good. All right, dig through time is resolving. Dig, Flusterstorm, Cage, Pyro, Cruise, Land, and maybe one other card?
Yeah. One other. I mean, this game seems pretty unlosable for Steve at this point. He's just so far ahead. I mean, we've seen him lose some games where he has like a huge counterspell advantage. He did that against Luis, definitely. I think he also did it against me last week a little bit. But in this spot, assuming he actually just casts his mentor, he will win this game.
I mean, he has to cast Mentor and keep both off the table.
Yeah, but here, I mean, he didn't take a mana source. Interesting.
He never takes
mana. Yeah, he has a Tundra in his hand already. Okay.
Never, ever, ever takes mana.
Yeah, I think that is not necessarily right, but it's probably fine.
So he's going to have 2 Force of Wills. Okay, he's going to force the Cage down before the Mentor.
Yeah, I like that play. That little prophylaxis is smart.
It would have made a Monk, though. Opponent's only got 4 cards in hand.
True.
If double Force of Will, I would have tapped out for Mentor there.
I mean, this is a spot where I don't mind him taking a slightly prophylaxis.
No, I don't mind it.
Although I would have cast the Preordain. I understand the value of holding it till afterwards, but if she really wants to find a land for next turn. But I also would have taken a land off of that dig. So.
Right. If you cast the Preordain, though, then you can't force Flusterstorm because you won't have a blue card.
there's just no way you need to play that many counterspells this turn against a deck. I mean, the only card you have to fight over is Show and Tell, which means his hand is Show and Tell, Gristlebrand, 3 cards, and he's tapped out. So there's no way you need to play 3 counterspells because he can only counteract once. So you only ever need to counter twice in that spot.
Here is Monastery Mentor. Can the Mentor deck get it done this set? Looking like it's going to get it done this game. Rich has to decide whether to throw Force of Will at it. He says no. Do you think, what, he needs to resolve an Oath and then come up with a Cage answer?
Yeah, he has to find Abrupt Decay and get Oath into play. He's just it's going to close out so quickly now from Steve that this one's done.
Yeah, Rich is going to go for the Oath. I mean, Steve's tapped out and he can force once, so seems correct. Do you fight that if you're Steve?
I don't think so. I mean, well, it's
You're
a little scary
vulnerable to
because
Abrupt Decay now,
yeah,
right?
it's scary that Abrupt Decay you can't fight over. But I think Steve's logic might here just be that he wins the game so quickly. Like if he just casts a second Mentor, he can just blow some counterspells on the Abrupt Decay, even though it won't counter it, and then just kill him.
That's true.
So that line I think is
I mean, it could be Abrupt Decay with the Oath triggered on the stack.
sure
So
that
he
is
gets die
scary.
next turn.
Although again, with double Mentor, he actually can beat one Gristlebrand pretty easily.
You're probably right. With double Mentor.
Yeah.
So you recommend tapping out for Mentor here?
I would definitely do that, yeah.
I agree with you. And then there's no reason to gush. I don't think. I mean, you will get an untapped land if you gush and replay a land, but you'll
I
also
like gushing
discard
here.
3 cards.
No, I think gushing is actually good because you really want to have that Pyroblast up. There's no reason not to. And you can also just, or you can even just cast the Preordain, and then you're presenting lethal next turn no matter what happens. So if you're afraid of him Abrupt Decaying with it on the stack, this makes sure you have just a million guys.
Mm-hmm.
People in the chat are pointing out that Rich maybe should have played his Emerald just to put Abrupt Decay as a threat. I think that goes both ways. I don't know if he wants Menendian to be playing around Abrupt Decay in this spot. Possibly he does. It's an interesting... I'm not sure which direction is correct there.
Steve drew a second Cage.
That should definitely lock this up then, especially since it triggers all the prowess.
I think you go ahead and tap your Tundra for second Cage. That seems better than having up Flusterstorm.
Oh, yeah, much better.
Make a Monk, trigger Prowess. Not a lot of Prowess triggers for next turn, but, well, there's a Preordain.
There's plenty. I mean, he can Preordain, Pyroblast it, Force. I mean, he can just counter his own stuff to make, get 6 triggers here. Yeah, I like how Steve's played this, Kim.
This is the real problem Oath has had in the last couple of years is Grafdigger's Cage.
Yep.
You look at this, and you've got one guy playing a creature deck and the other guy playing Oath of Druids. It should be Edge Oath. They have pretty similar permission sets. But that one card, that Grafdigger's Cage, just shuts down so much of what Oath does.
Steve just moused over the Pyroblast for his discard. We're about to see Steve discard another. I think it's actually correct. Just to be clear, I think that's the right card to discard, but it's just such an un-Steve card to pitch.
Can't
It's
pitch
possible.
well.
He should pitch Flusterstorm there, actually, I think. Because he can just cast the Pyroblast on the Oath just to get triggers next turn.
He can, but it's not blue.
Right, but I mean, he can pitch Dig at the spot, right? Like, Dig doesn't matter anymore. So he's like Dig, and he has a million things he can pitch.
Oh, I
mean, this doesn't matter.
None of
He's
this
winning no matter
matters. None of this matters. I mean, this was a game where Steve was in such good shape. He probably could have just prevented the Oath from ever coming down instead of and not even had to lean on these Grafdigger's Cages. Just everything has gone well for him this game.
Right, but if he fights over that Oath and it turns out that Rich actually sitting on Show and Tell Gristlebrand, he could potentially lose to that.
Yeah, no, I think he was right to put it in.
I like
the matchup plays out in general.
I like that line.
Preordain, trigger. How close are we to lethal? 2, 4, 6, 8, 14. Just the one prowess trigger is all he needed?
He had what? He had 6 guys attacking, so each pressure is +6/+6.
Yeah.
And he had 8 power to start with, so yep. Mentor
Easy
does
enough.
end games.
Wow. Guy hits so hard, so fast.
You'll just cast the time walk here too, just for insurance.
Might as well. We're just gonna fight the time walk, which sure, but it's already lethal.
Yep. We're fighting back.
More triggers.
From Steve's perspective, it makes sense because Rich chose to counter it, so maybe he's doing something. You don't know what's coming.
Right.
So you have to.
Yeah, yes, if Rich has the ability to kill one of these creatures, for example, then Steve might need his time walk turn. Okay, kill a couple of these creatures.
Yeah. If there's like an instant speed Maelstrom Pulse that's uncounterable, that happens here.
He doesn't know what's in the new set. Crunch. 6 guys.
That's a lot of damage. Oh, excuse me.
Mentor hits hard. -13 for Rich Shay.
Come on, Rich.
So, did anything change for game 3? Did they learn anything that game about sideboarding or whatever?
No, I can't imagine they're going to change anything here. They both know the target. I mean, Rich is going to try to get his Oath online and resolved before that cage comes down. If he does, he's going to win. If not, he has an uphill battle because it just takes. It's hard to slog through that, and Steve can close out games as we just saw.
What do you think of the slate of decks we've had so far?
So it's been two Merfolk, Bob playing a Doomsday.
Yep.
Right, and then we had a.
I still can't figure out Williams' list. I want to see it. It's Landstill.
Bug still? Yeah.
But it's bug Landstill. Like Landstill, that's why I saw the bug shell. I kept expecting there to be more creatures. And I just couldn't parse the Deathrite Shaman combined with Landstill. Like I couldn't get to a list in my head that had both those cards in it. That was really
given my experience playing with Gifts last week and just thinking that engine's just like way too slow, it's hard for me to imagine, even with a card like Standstill, that a deck based around like Crucible and Manlands can do it.
Yep.
But who knows? I mean, maybe it just feels like it's a bad version of Shops in some ways, because you're just trying to use like Standstill to buy time the same way you use the Thorns to buy time.
Right.
And then try to kill them with like Manlands.
So yeah, and then here we've got Delver and Mentor.
Yep.
Pretty good split.
No, here we have Oath and Mentor. No Delver yet.
Sorry. The Delver and Mentor in the same deck.
Delver might be gone. I mean, Delver I thought was always one of the worst cards that was played in Vintage. You played it, even when I was playing that deck, I played it because I wanted a card that was good against Shops.
Exactly. That's the matchup where it shines. And there is certainly a below expected metagame amount of Shops in our league.
Yes.
Delvers have looked worse for us, I think, than they are in the real world, just because we don't play as much Shops as the rest of the world does.
Yep. I think everyone's appreciative that we don't play as much Shops as the rest of the world does.
I thought about going back to Belcher for this set, but I just had too much fear of Shops.
I thought you might play Belcher. I'm sad you're not. Okay.
Yeah, no, I thought all three of you had a decent chance of playing Shops. And I didn't think, and the similarly bad matchup from the Merfolk side is Dredge, which I just didn't think you were going to play. I mean, I'm not going to be happy if you or Kai is on Oath, but it's not nearly as bad as playing Belcher into Shops. Here we go, Game 3. Can Rich Shay get above 500 and keep pace with Chris and I in the playoff run? Or is Steve Menendian going to end his losing streak and put a match distance between himself and last place?
This is a great opener set for Rich. I mean, he's very favored based on his opening hands. Steve might honestly have mulliganed this hand, just knowing him. Because he really likes reactive cards. He hates these proactive. I think mulligan's hands are crazy.
You just go for it. Mentor. Have you seen with double Mentor how fast double Mentor kills?
I understand that. and you understand that.
He is
But
vulnerable to Oath, though, right? He has no way to react to an opposing Oath of Druids other than
or
to
just the Force of Will, right? If his first mentor gets Force of Will, his next play is turn 2 mentor number 2, and that's just pretty slow. And here we can see, I mean, Rich is going to Thoughtseize the first one, force the second one. Like, if Steve keeps his hand, he's way behind.
A fair point.
It might even be correct to mulligan this hand. I mean, I think this is a spot where Steve's natural instinct is to do so based on his style, and he'll be rewarded for doing so. And I don't know if objectively it's correct or not.
I would not mulligan that hand, but I will not be surprised if Steve does. It is certainly in character for Steve to mulligan that hand, and you know what? He might be right. Like you say, the way that hand lines up against Rich's hand, he needed to mulligan.
You think like what 7-card hands that Rich has is that hand beating? Like it's you just need to think that these mentors are going to both resolve and kill him, and the odds of that happening are very low. So I actually think that mulligan's reasonable to good.
Yeah, okay. I think you talked me into it.
No, Steve will spend his only blue card misstepping this, and
I would think so.
it'll get misstepped back by Rich. He has to be pretty happy once he sees his hand. He has to fight through a Wear Tear and find a copy of Oath, and then he's in the clear.
Pretty much.
People in the chat asking what Shops is. It's named after Mishra's Workshop. It's an artifact-based kind of prison deck that plays a lot of mana taxing effects, so artifacts that make you pay 1 more mana for your spells. But it abuses a lot of fast mana based on its own workshops to dump its hand.
Yeah, deck basically gets to play 5 Black Lotuses.
Yes, well,
Shops are very similar to Black Lotus, and how
a lot of them don't play Black, as we saw with Pakula.
some Terra Nova doesn't.
Some of them only play 4 Black Lotuses.
They didn't want the 5th.
I'm gonna fix my chair here.
It feels like most of the Shops decks that get played on Magic Online are the Martello Shops variant, like the one Evo played. I've really only seen Terra Nova out of Chris. And I mean, I know there's an East Coast cluster of Terra Nova fans, but
I think even in that list, not playing Black Lotus is insane. But I'm on the record with that opinion. So
fair enough. All right.
Weird. Rich lets him.
Lets the Thoughtseize resolve, and it takes
Why? He has 2 missteps. What are these people doing? Why do they hate winning? I don't understand.
I mean, it's the only blue card for the Force of Will. I don't know. I agree.
Oh, he has so many blue cards.
No, it's Steve.
Right, well, it's the first Steve missteps, but like Rich not misstepping back is insane.
No, he didn't misstep. Steve chose to let the Thoughtseize resolve, and Rich chose to take the misstep.
What? That's even worse.
Steve chose to let the Thoughtseize resolve.
All right, well, I'm no longer mad at Rich for spewing his equity here. What is going on in this game? That is insane. I actually might be right. I might not be giving Steve enough credit here. I'm gonna step back from my comment. That's insane. That actually might be pretty smart. So because his hand is already down a card, and it's so fragile, like he's relying heavily.
I don't like giving my opponent information about what's in my hand.
Right, so but I don't want to let Rich...
much rather have paid 2 life for a misstep there rather than let him see exactly what I'm holding.
But what that does, it turns Rich's other missteps into Thoughtseizes themselves, and that's the problem, right? Because you don't want to let Rich force misstep back your misstep and then also take your Wear Tear or also take your Forcible, because then your shields are just down. Doing it this way, you force Rich... if you assume that Rich has a misstep, letting it resolve is definitely correct. Because it forces Rich to either take the Wear Tear and leave you with a Forcible and a blue card, or take a blue card.
But then if you're Rich and your Thoughtseize is resolving in that spot, why do you take the misstep when you have 2 missteps in your hand?
That's insane. That's why I assumed it had to be the other way, because you would take Force of Will there 100% of the time. Taking misstep there made no sense.
I mean,
so I'm mad at Rich again.
You could even take Mentor there. I mean,
Mentor wasn't in his hand yet. He just drew that. His hand was Wear Tear, Force of Will.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. All right, here's Wear Tear on Sapphire.
All right, so I'm once again sad that Rich is spewing his equity when I need him to win here with that Thoughtseize selection.
Wow, this drops Rich down to 1 mana.
Yeah, I mean, he has the jet in his hand. He has to let this resolve.
Sure. But now, if Steve draws a blue card for his Force of Will, which he
Yeah.
just did, holy Steve Menendian, now this Mentor resolves?
Yeah, he's going to win this game.
Because Rich left the Force of Will in his hand.
Also, Rich, I mean, he shuffled away his show and tell, too. I guess he didn't know he was going to draw Grizzlebrand for the turn.
Man, this is crazy. Why? Rich taking that misstep instead of the Force of Will, he's getting severely punished here.
Yeah,
Don't know why he took a misstep when there were 2 missteps in his hand.
Even if he figures he's going to pitch one of the missteps to the Force of Will, he still has another one that's left over. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, these plays.
Yeah, Force back. Mentor is in the house. No cards for Steve Menendian, so he doesn't exactly have an army of monks fighting alongside it just yet, but any cantrip off the top, and he just wins.
All right. Show and tell there is huge.
Ooh. He's a mana short, though. I mean, the Wear Tear on the Sapphire. Keeping Rich below. Yeah, Rich needs to draw basically any land.
Any land, not Voltaic Key.
That's not a land.
That is not what we needed here.
I mean, he could play the Jet into the Voltaic Key here.
I actually would, because then you can have some outs
Soul
to be
Ring
able to.
becomes good, right?
Yeah. Oh man, Lotus is a huge draw here. Now I can just hard cast Force of Will. So yeah, Steve wins.
It's as good as having a blue card to pitch to Force of Will, but better because it triggers Monastery Mentor on the way into play.
Oh. Can't believe Rich is losing this game.
No, this is crazy. I did see that correctly, right? That the Steve chose Thoughtseize resolve. He was at 20.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the Menendian must have. I thought he had to have misstepped and not got misstepped back. That's why I was so confused, because there's just no way you take misstep there.
Right.
And yeah, Rich is dead.
Yeah, that Lotus was such a good draw.
Man.
Yeah, Rich has to go for the show and tell, of course. But it's not going to work. Steve Menendian has 1 card in his hand. It is Force of Will. Black Lotus gives him the mana he needs to cast it. Grizzlebrand will not be showing up for show and tell today. Instead, Steve has brought us an army of mad monks.
People in chat are pointing out
too.
that he was brainstorm locked because he actually fetched before the brainstorm, not after. So he knew he was drawing Brandon show and tell.
Okay.
Given that knowledge, then he should have Force the Will the Wear Tear. He should have set it up so he could Force the Will the Wear Tear and just cast show and tell and put Grizzlebrand into play. I think he could have arranged this where he actually has a Grizzlebrand in play and wins this game. But instead, this is a lethal preordain.
This is a lethal preordain. So Rich Shay is going to fall to 3 and 4. Steve Menendian is going to climb to 3 and 4. So the two of these guys are kind of hanging out in the middle of the standings now, tied with each other.
Yep.
And there is a 2-match gap between the 4 people currently in playoff position and the 2 of these guys. That 2-game gap actually means that 4 players have now clinched at least a postseason berth. It might merely be a tiebreaker game, right? Chris and I can be caught and drug into a tiebreaker match. But with this win from Steve Menendian, it means that Eric Froelich has clinched playoffs without a tiebreaker. Luis Scott Vargas has clinched a postseason berth even before he plays his match. And Chris and I have clinched a postseason berth of at least a tiebreaker.
Yep.
Crazy. Yeah,
And
the league has really turned into the haves and have-nots this year.
Man, Rich, I needed you there. I needed you.
Yeah, no, a lot of people I think wanted Rich to send Steve back down a match, but I don't know. I'm okay with the way this played out. I look forward. I mean, Rich is actually in the booth for next round. I'm sure Luis will ask him about the logic behind that thought seize. I mean, I'm sure he had a plan. I'm pretty sure he'll regret it by now, but I'll be interested
Right.
to hear how Luis plays that. But yeah, I got to admit, I was rooting for Steve. I suspect Chris was as well. Having that gap open up between the two of us tied for third and fourth feels okay, not going to lie. All right, well, we got Tom Martell coming up. You're going to go play Kai.
Yeah, here we go. So
Good
try
luck
to
to you,
flip
sir.
another W. Thank you.
We will be right back after these messages.